Hello, my name is Viva Cunliffe. I am the CEO of Reduction Tech Incorporated. We are an advanced oxidation specialist technology company, and we would like to talk to the governments and policymakers about the ill-advised devastation of our atmosphere through toxic geoengineering plans and weather modification, which is now ongoing, which is paid for mostly by taxpayers. We're asking you to consider halting this at the earliest time possible, and we're going to explain why from a scientific perspective. Just so we're all aware, there is a group of respected scientists and a respectable foundation that look after this website, geoengineeringmonitor.org, and they explain how far advanced and spread the weather modification programs are, which are not classified. They are widely known and they are searchable and locatable on the open internet as well, the individual operations. They are toxic chemical-based processes, and we're going to discuss a completely different paradigm than that in this video for you so that you can understand how ill-advised these programs are. First of all, geoengineering is defined as involving large-scale interventions in the Earth's oceans, soils, and atmosphere in order to address the symptoms of climate change, often on a temporary basis. It ignores and in many cases enables the root causes of the climate crisis to continue. So you are actually pledging, and we are pledging as taxpayers, money into a process of mitigation that does not actually create any mitigation, and we will show you the harm that it is actually doing that is not well publicized or understood by the scientists who are the proponents of these toxic programs. Just as a side note, 7 United States states are banning geoengineering plans and weather modification, any chemical based, and we advise Canadian premiers and the Prime Minister of Canada to also look at this for Canada. While the media openly denies the obvious chemical trails that are coloring the skies white everywhere on a regular basis, science professionals know of these programs and are quiet about them out of fear. The cult of secrecy that politicians themselves were duped into by poor chemists and engineers is backfiring on humanity now dangerously for one major reason: myopic physics and chemistry knowledge of the atmosphere. 99% of these projects that are on the Geoengineering Monitor website are toxic. I have had a look. The chemistry is all invasive to the natural environment, and they persist as persistent pollution. We have been deceived by very ignorant scientists in this field. The toxic chemicals and particles unfortunately used by these operations are recognized by the naturally occurring cleansers of the atmosphere, which try to remove them. This severely scrubs out and depletes the cleansers, which also try to protect life by removing greenhouse gases and other climate pollutants and viruses, molds, and bacteria. So our air has become extremely unsanitary. We have an unaddressed, deadly global persistent pollution problem, which is now manifesting in pollution 50 plus times the legal limits in many cities around the world. How this is known is by looking at the total pollution levels of the atmosphere and the total available naturally occurring hydroxyl cleansers. They can be measured and have been in the peer-reviewed literature for decades. Here's the score. Hydroxyl 1 and pollution 36 million. Science, unfortunately, has dangerously written off the hydroxyl radical and the oxidative capacity of the planet. It is urgent that all funding to these toxic programs be cut as soon as possible. If we don't stop them, the present dangerous persistent pollution and greenhouse gas problem will get even worse, causing more weather whiplash and chaos and more greenhouse gas and water buildup, which will guarantee the full triggering of numerous climate feedbacks very soon, months to a few years. The state of the total pollution inundation of our atmosphere with those numbers is stunning. This is why we have increasing deadly events. Here is a small table with all of the pollutants that the hydroxyl radical and the other oxidants remove. Carbon monoxide is triple the legal limits at 16 parts per million, well mixed on an annual basis. And the total number of pollutants is at 440 plus parts per million. We can calculate how many ppm of hydroxyl there are by knowing its extinction rate and its replacement rate over the 12 hours of average daylight on the planet. And we come up with 1.1 parts per million for all of the cleansers. So there is a 17 plus parts per million deficit of the cleansers. This is a huge sum that is a very stunning number when you turn it into the percent of inundation. It's over 36 million percent, almost 37 million percent inundated by the record human pollution levels. The only way to remove it is to add more hydroxyl. A rebound of natural hydroxyl cannot happen without assistance. Because it is 36 million percent inundated, all pollution must be lowered if possible. Greenhouse gases and all of the pollutants must be physically removed because they deplete hydroxyl radicals and the Earth's oxidative capacity. This is life-saving ecosystem service which we have completely destroyed. The best action is to disperse more hydroxyl to the atmosphere while lowering the pollution load. This will address the true root cause of our quickly worsening climate predicaments. Toxic weather modification. The hydroxyl attaches directly to those weather modification molecules, just like any other particulates, and they age them. The insoluble nature of these molecules causes them to dangerously persist, and when hydroxyl and water finally combine to remove them, hydroxyl is totally wasted on this technique, which does not address any root causes of atmospheric problems. These programs are a life-threatening mistake which must be corrected. These programs must be banned. The inundation of the hydroxyl means we have a very large overshoot of pollution to correct, since it removes all the greenhouse gases at lower pollution loads for us. Now that we're higher, we need to raise the hydroxyl level to match this record pollution situation. The fundamentals of gas measurement in science and geochemistry were totally ignored by all of these scientists, were not publicized, and so these operations do need to be stopped immediately. The pollutants scrub out the hydroxyl radical, which makes our air safe and breathable. And we are just severely inundated with the pollution. And we have a paper on hydroxyl inundation in review with Nature Scientific Reports, which we can provide to any policy or climate leader by contacting the email on the screen. And for more understanding, you can check our website there or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, we would deeply appreciate if you could share this video with any policymakers to advise them that we should be reversing our policy on all the toxic chemicals that are being added to the record human pollution levels, because all it's doing is making the situation far worse than any benefit that it does bring. Thank you very much for your assistance.